Hi everybody, John Martinson here at Robolinux. Yep, you can call me Robo, everyone else does. Um, okay, so today I'm going to show you the trick that I promised you in the Series 12 launch video, how to really easily migrate a Stealth VM Windows operating system from Series 11 to Series 12. And you could actually be migrating any VM, okay? But the trick is to create a PCVHD file. So we're going to be converting a VDI. Let me just show you how those are. Under virtual VMs, I have my Windows 7 VDI and my Windows 10 VDI, and we don't want those because those can be really difficult when you go from one version of VirtualBox to the other. In this case, when you go from Series 11, you go from VirtualBox. Let's just take a look at it. You could find it in administration down here. I have mine in favorites. Now, we have VirtualBox to go to about. It's going to tell me I'm running 5.2.42. And I happen to know that when we go to the Series 12 Robolinux, it's going to be VirtualBox 6. And so we will probably have problems because the guys at Oracle don't really care about you, and but I do. So I'm going to head those issues off at the pass and show you the super easy way to do this. Now note that I've got my external drive plugged in because I'm going to use it eventually. I'm going to want to move the new PCVHD clone file or converted file from VDI to PCVHD. I'm going to want to move it over to my external drive, okay? And just so you know, before we get started, the easy way to do this is to select all the defaults, and then what's going to happen is the PCVHD file will end up in your virtual VMs, okay? And you'll see it a lot. There it is. Actually, I've already done this process. But I'm going to show you how it's done. And what we're going to do here is we highlight the operating system we want to convert from a VDI to a PCVHD file. And I'm going to pick Windows 7. See, I've been using that more than Windows 10. And so here we highlight 7, Windows 7. We go up to File in the top left, and we left click it. And we go down here to Virtual Media Manager, shortcut keys Control D. Now, we're going to just select our Windows 7 by left clicking it, okay? And then we're going to click the Copy button over here at the top left below Medium, okay? Now, in the beginning, it tells us it's 195 gigabytes. It really isn't. It's 21 gigabytes, but that's the preset size of this VDI. And of course, you can make it any size you want to. But here we go. We're selecting this, and we're going to hit the next button. And this is important. If you miss this one, you're going to blow it. So disk image file type must be VHD, which is a virtual hard disk, as opposed to a VDI, which you don't want, which is a VirtualBox disk image, okay? So we've highlighted VHD. We now click the next button, and I like to pick dynamically because then I'm only moving 21 gigs instead of 195. And again, when you go in to install it with Stealth VM in one click, you'll be able to set whatever size you want it to be, okay? It'll default to 100 gigabytes, but if your Windows is larger, then don't select dynamically allocated, select the fixed size, okay? So be sure you do that. If it's already larger than 100 gigabytes, then you're going to want to select the fixed size, okay? So I am selecting dynamically allocated, and I press the next button down here. Now, this is critical. New disk image to create cannot be what the default is, okay? It has to be all caps PC.VHD because that's what Stealth VM is going to be looking for, okay? Now, we press copy, and what it's going to do is it's going to put it into this directory right here, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this file so I can show you how it works. So we have PC.VHD, and we're going to press copy. And what it's going to do is it's going to move it to home Robo. In your case, it could be Joe or John or Harry or Larry, whatever your username is, slash virtual VMs, and there's that file name PC.VHD. And we can, it says it's going to take 15 more minutes, but it actually goes pretty quickly. But just to show you where it's going, again, I'm loading my file manager here in Cinnamon. And if I go to virtual VMs, I can see that it's putting it right here. Okay, so it's creating it, it's putting it over there. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. And that's pretty much going to be about it, but I'm going to show you how to move the file over to your external drive. And then the final step will be after you've installed your Series 12, and it could be any flavor you want. It could be Mate, it could be XFCE, it could be Ubuntu, it could be, it doesn't make any difference, because that's the trick with PCVHD files. As long as you're using VirtualBox and as long as you have Stealth VM. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. And as you can see, it is now done because it's off the screen. Now let's go check and see if it's in the folder. There it is under virtual VMs, and let's check the size. It should be about 21 gigabytes, and there it is. Okay, now so I don't waste your time, I'm just going to show you what has to be done. We're finished cloning it, okay, and we don't need VirtualBox anymore, so we press close and shut it off. Okay, now here is something absolutely critical. When you first create a PC.VHD in all caps file using the VBox manage tools that I showed you, it is going to create the wrong permissions for this file. And so you open a terminal to find out what the perms are. You can do that. You can open a terminal in any of the 3 versions of Robolinux. But you're going to need to go to where that PCVHD file is. And as you can see here on this Cinnamon box, it's virtual VMs. And we're going to do an ls space minus LA to find the perms. And we'll see we have a RW, which is read write, but that's great. That's for me. But what about the group for VBox users? Well, if you don't give the VBox users group read access, then when Stealth VM goes to try to convert the file, the PCVHD file will fail, and actually goes in, it tries to ask for the sudo password, and of course you can't do that. So this is an easy fix. Just simply go in there, type in the command chmod, that's lowercase, space 644, and then you're going to want to change that PC.VHD file to have permissions of 644. Press enter. Then we'll run the ls again. And what do we have? We now have group permission. As you can see, a read there. And so that's really critical. And if you miss that, well, then you're not going to be able to take your PCVHD backup file and move it to a different version of Linux, or to a new series of Robolinux, or for that matter, anywhere, because that file must have 644 permissions in order for Stealth VM to convert it. Okay. What we do want to do is we want to move this file from my hard drive. In this case, it's an SSD. I recommend you use an SSD. Otherwise, you'll waste a lot of time. And I'm just going to go ahead and load my 2 terabyte drive. And what you're going to see in here is that I moved it to my backup, which is Robo, okay? And that's what you want to do. You want to right-click, copy, or drag it, and you want to right-click over here and paste it, all right? Now, let's talk about backing up your Series 11 home user folder, and in my case it's Robo. In your case it could be Harry or Larry or Joe or John or whatever. But this is something that you want to pay attention to. Okay. Now, in my Robo, what I did was, okay, I'll just show you how it was done. If you don't know how to use rsync, I'm certainly happy to create a launcher for you to do this automatically. But for those that want to just drag their home folder over to their external drive, in my case it's a 2 terabyte external Western Digi, you would then have to go to the file system over here in the one file manager and go to home, or right click copy and then right click paste over here in your external drive. Okay, now I completed my Cinnamon Series 12 installation. Only took about 12-13 minutes, and now I need to have access to all the advanced applications, Stealth VM, in order to do this migration. So what I've done is I've got my 12 plus installer here in my downloads folder, which has to be in English for those that have a foreign language running in Robolinux. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and install it. Just show you guys one more time how you do it. It's really easy. Okay, you go to installers, click on Robolinux 12 plus installer, type in your password, and it installs very quickly. It's probably one of the most complicated shell scripts I ever wrote. It's going to load the Cinnamon FAQ using Firefox, unless you switch to Brave or something else. And so it's fully installed. We'll just check it. Yep, everything's there as it should be. And we're just going to go down here to Stealth VM. Yep, that's ready to go. But we need to install VirtualBox first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And when it's installing, I'm going to pause the video so don't waste your time. When I come back, I'm going to move my PCVHD file for Windows 7 into my downloads folder. So here we go. I am installing VirtualBox with one click. And we go ahead and pause this installation. Okay, this is the final part of the VirtualBox installation, and I just want to show those that may get stuck here that when you're configuring the VirtualBox extension pack, you must hit the Tab key to highlight the OK button at the bottom, and then you press Enter. And you want to accept it, so you hit the Tab to go to Yes, press Enter, and now you have your VirtualBox extension pack installed. And it looks like we're going to get VirtualBox 6.1. We'll find out in a second. I'll just pause while it's finishing. Okay, VirtualBox and its extension pack are fully installed. We're going to go ahead to administration here. I'm going to add it to favorites so I can get at it fast. Right click, favorites, and go back up here and load it. See which version we're running here. Go to help, go to about, and we see we're running 6.1. Okay, which will most likely not work with the old VDIs in 5.2.4, which is why we created a VHD file, or PC.VHD file. Okay, so now we need to move. Let's go into our external. Before we do that, we'll tee up a file manager in the downloads folder, and we'll go back in up here. Okay, so the second file manager here is going to be our external drive, 2 terabytes. I'm going to go down into my user that I backed up, that I showed you how to do. Mine is Robo. Yours could be some other name, I'm sure. And I know that the file is in my virtual VMs. Now, one of the things I did was after each PCVHD file was copied or created into this directory, I created a folder for the different Windows versions so that I didn't overwrite them, okay? Something to keep in mind, because I'll be running Windows 7 and 10 So here we go. There's the PCVHD file. I'm going to right-click it, press copy, go over to downloads and right-click and paste. And this is going to take a few minutes to copy. So I'm going to pause the video. And as it's almost finished, I'll show you one of the new neat features in the Cinnamon 4.4.6, which is what we're running here in Series 12. And you can see by just highlighting whatever's opened on your screen, you'll see what how many of them are being used. Okay, so now we have the PCVHD file for Windows 7. We can actually shut down these file managers. And now, since we have Stealth VM automatically installed with the Robolinux 12 Plus, we now must select the correct Windows version, and in this case it's going to be Windows 7 64 VM installer. And one click, and it brings down the dynamic shell script. These are instructions. It is not a license agreement. You just select yes, and it is going to ask us for a sudo password if this is the first time we've used VirtualBox. So it creates a VBox user and a UUID in the etc group file. And so we'll type our password to do that and press OK. And we immediately start converting. And one of these days I'm going to put a progress bar on there. That's probably a little Python code. Anyway, go ahead and pause here. It's probably going to take about 2.5, 3 minutes. And now it is completed converting that 21 gigabyte PCVHD file to a VirtualBox VDI file. I'm going to go ahead and select the amount of RAM I want to give this Windows 7. And I have 8 gigs in this box, so I'm going to give this 4096. And it's going to take us normally to the FAQ page, but there's a little error in that script. The XDG open for some reason isn't working, but you know how to get to the FAQs. So, all right. So now what we have here, if we go to VirtualBox, is we have Windows 7 powered off. And I'm going to want to make a shortcut for this. So while you're here, I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to do that. So we'll right click, create shortcut on desktop. That's at the bottom of this dialog box. And I can shut down VirtualBox. Now I'm going to right click. Okay, and I want to turn this VBox icon into a Windows 7 icon. And fortunately, in my Robo backup, I will have a folder called VM icons. So I'm going to do a right click here, and I'm going to copy it, go over to home, right click, put it right in there, and you'll see the icons. So now I'm ready to create the shortcut. Right click, properties, and click on the blue VBox icon. Go to the browse over here on the top right, and go to home on the left. Go down to VM icons, select Windows 7, because this is Windows 7, and press the open button, and click it, left click it to select it over here on the bottom right. And now we have a nice Windows 7 shortcut. And we have one last thing to do. We have to edit this launcher. So we right click it, and here with open with other application will bring us up to the text editor. Press OK. Now at the very bottom, okay, below the icon, you type in capital C, A-T-E, that's categories. And then you do an equals, and then you type in capital S-Y, S-T-E-M, and a colon. Now we're done. We can go ahead and save that. Now we've got a launcher that will actually show up in the administration. So we have to move this launcher over to the USR share application so it shows up here administration. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and open as root, and I am going to just right click here and do a cut and go to this nifty bookmark that's already set for you. Go to a white space here, right click and press paste. And in my case I have to overwrite it because I made an error on the first file. Okay, so now when I go to administration, I have my nifty Windows 7, which I'm going to right click and add to my panel. And I'm going to position it over here near the menu. Let's see, where are you going to go? Okay, that's good enough. All right, so I don't really need my external drive until I start moving data files, and that's going to be a different tutorial. I'm going to show you how to safely and correctly move the right data files. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just remove my external drive now, and we're going to go ahead and load Windows 7 to show that it works. Now you'll get some of these pesky, but you can stop those in the future from showing up. All right, now, all right, we do need to put in the new VirtualBox guest editions, as you can see here. So the way you do that is you go up here to devices and you go to the bottom where it says insert guest editions. And why do we have to do this? Well, because this is VirtualBox 6.1 and we migrated from a VirtualBox 5.24. Okay, and of course after I've entered my keys 3 times, then they tell me that it's not a genuine copy of Windows, even though it is. Okay, now we're going to insert this VirtualBox guest editions. Okay, and that should start the process of installing. We just have to wait for the installer to come up, and in the meantime I'll move this around. And if you use the same username, which I did, there's the installer. If you use the same username like I did, Robo, then your drive E is going to work immediately. Otherwise you'll have to go in to my computer and bring the new one down here and get rid of this previous one. So it's a good idea to use the same username. Okay, here we have run VirtualBox or VBox Windows Editions.exe. So we left click that. And yes, and continue. Just take all the defaults. It's really easy. And we'll be done doing guest editions. And we will have completed this this migration, in a pretty easy way. I mean, faster, easier. It's better than rebuilding everything. It does want you to reboot, so we'll do that. And if you run, as I've said before, if you use an SSD, everything is just so much faster. Okay, so here we are. We have Windows 7 working properly. Has all my apps down here, as you can see. And one thing that is left to do with VirtualBox is set your audio. So go ahead and load VirtualBox. You can get it out of administration or in favorites or wherever you want it. And so I'm just going to go down here to audio so that I can use the audio. And here you have to enable the audio output. And for those that like to be recorded, you can enable audio input. I don't do it. Okay, so that's how you turn on the audio. So the next video to look at is the one that's going to show you how to migrate your data files correctly and safely from your external drive to your home directory. And I would suggest that you pay attention to that so that you don't have any glitches. It's not hard to do. I'm going to take you through it real slowly in the next tutorial. I hope you have a lovely day somehow in this crazy world, and may Yahweh bless you and your family greatly.